Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Juan Luis, host of the Faithful Fit Fellows podcast. I got my brother Ronnie here.
Yes,
Ronnie,
sir.
Welcome in, man.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. It's a pleasure, man. Before we get into it, man, I just want to give you a quick intro. So I know Ronnie from Redemption, the church we go to here in the Silicon Valley. We're very blessed to have here, you know, just with an amazing church, amazing, world-renowned pastor. I want to give the people a little backstory of how we met and how we're here today, right? I want to give my side, and then I'll let you share, because you briefly told me about, you know, just your thoughts about, you know, that day that I approached you. But I started a life group at our church. I wanted to serve as soon as my wife and I decided Redemption was going to be our home church. And I started a life group, called it the Faithful Fit Fathers Life Group. This is the Faithful Fit Fellows podcast, but I started the Faithful Fit Fathers Life Group, and I was outside with flyers, and I'm just like calling out to any dad that I see, any dad with a diaper bag with kids on their arms, like maybe they're just with their wife and maybe they want to be dads someday, right? I was passing out these flyers, and then I see Ronnie, and I'm like, brother, I got this thing. Check it out. See if you like it. Join us Saturday morning, 6:30. One thing turned into another, and here we are. Now, just a quick backstory, man. Like I said, I want you to share your perspective on that whole thing and why you wanted to join, right? And then even before all that, man, if there's anything you want to share, man, just about you, feel free.
Cool. It was great because when I came out of church, we were walking to go pick up my son, because across the parking lot is where the kids area is. And you approached me and were just like, hey man, like, you got a second? And I was like, yeah, I got a second. And you kind of laid it out, like, I'm thinking about putting together this group of fit and faithful fathers, and just wondering if you're interested. Like, no pressure at all, but if you're interested, like, just pass me your number or like email, and I'll just contact you or reach out and give you some more information. And and I was a little skeptical because I've joined a lot of small groups in my life, and I've gotten a lot of value out of some of them, and some of them not so much value. And I think but I've always known the power of small groups, you know, because church is powerful, but small groups, there's just something different about it. You know, it's more intimate. You could get deeper, and there's more connection, more relationship. And so I'm really particular with my time, too, because I don't know, an hour a week doesn't seem like that much, but it is, you know. And if I say I'm going to, and if I say I'm going to commit to something, I want to go full force, and I don't want to half butt it, you know. I want to be there, and it sounded good, and you seemed like you had results in the fit area. So I was like,
small shirts, bro. Just get a smaller size. It'll...
That is the key. And I was like, cool, man. I'm always looking to get around people, especially men that are wanting to build a better relationship with God, and that are pushing themselves in the fit arena too, because that's a big value of mine. You know, faith is a huge one, and fitness is huge as well. More so the past couple of years, but yeah, I think. And then just as far as me, man, it's just the past 5-10 years has been huge as far as like developing fitness, and then the faith aspect as well, and putting those together is just it's been life-changing, and just it's hard, man. It's a hard journey every day, you know. Like even this past week, it's just been adding new stuff to my routine, and just trying to tweak some stuff so that I'm getting more results and stuff, and pushing myself to be better. But yeah, that's
I love that, man. And there's two things. I want you to share as much as you would like about your family, right? And just even, remind me of how old your kids are.
So I have a 3.5-year-old boy and 11-month-old girl.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And that's a perfect picture too.
Yeah.
Man, I'm jealous, man. I mean, 2 boys is special. I'm not going to lie. Everything happens for a reason. And I think, we all get what we're supposed to get.
For sure.
But that is special, man. Just having that older boy. I know for me, when I started this group, it wasn't, first of all, I wanted to stretch myself, right? I wanted to also keep myself accountable. So I wanted to challenge myself as far as, leading a life group, and then keep myself accountable every single week that I'm actually feeding myself, so that I can give to others, right? That I may overflow. And another thing was, it was when my wife was pregnant that I decided to form this life group. So I was going to have my second son. And if I think back to when I had my first son, I know that I struggled with fitness and just my devotional time. And, I say I let myself go, but I just completely fell off my routine, and I swore that wouldn't happen. I mean, I swore I wouldn't gain the husband weight, like the honeymoon weight. That happened. I swore I wasn't going to drop the ball and get off the routine when my son came, that I was going to put myself first, and that happened. And so this second time around, all right, third time's a charm. I'm going to set myself up so that I am accountable in my devotional. And even when I'm not, I'll hand the baton over to one of you guys, as I have before. What I'm saying is, I needed this group. It's not that I had so much to give and so much to offer, and that's why. It's because I needed it. Why did you actually pull the trigger? I mean, besides all those, okay, this seems like a cool guy, blah, blah, blah. Were you in that place where you needed that group?
Definitely in the place where I needed it. And I didn't know I needed it. In my head, I was like, I don't need this, But I also knew, I could tell because of how uncomfortable it made me feel that it was probably something I should do. And then after, my wife didn't shoot it down. So that's the big one. If she shot it down, would have been a no-go.
Yeah.
She didn't say no. And I was like, dang it. I was like, if she said no, it would have been an easy, hey, man, sorry. Wife said no, But the fact that she said no, and it was just I knew uncomfortable things pushed me.
The Holy Spirit is kind like that, man.
He knew what I needed, and yeah.
Yeah. And this perfect segue, man. Wives, we were talking about it beforehand, and I'll bring up another story. My buddy was just telling me about how back in the day, the Egyptians and something that they believed. I was sharing with him how in my head, I got a million different things, a million different ideas, a million different visions. It's so hard for me to organize all those thoughts and then focus on one thing and then execute that thing, right? I'm doing 5 things at a time. And as I'm sharing that with him, he said, man, that's just how men are designed. He's like, even the Egyptians were aware of that. And that's how all men were designed. And that's why it's so important to have a woman in your life, because she is the calm to your storm. She is the calm to your chaos. And I would love for you to just share, because I can go on about how much my wife has helped me on my pursuit to just, building my business and everything else, making guiding me, right? Nudging me in this way or that way, or completely stopping me from going ahead, or, you know what I mean? Even feeling God's, even her spirit having, being so sensitive to where God wants us when I'm, distracted or whatever, not seeing clearly. I want you to share with me what your wife has been for you, and the support, the guidance, and everything else. Where would you be without her? Where are you now because of her? You know what I mean? Yeah,
she's my everything, and I think it's interesting you said that about, I think personalities is a huge part of it, because my wife sounds more like your personality, where it's she's got a million plates spinning in her head, and I'm the one plate not spinning dude, and she does so much. She does so much like with our finances and just running the household and planning our days and planning trips and doing so much. And I can do one thing at a time. I do that one thing really good, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's like when she starts giving me more tasks, and this is something that's been worked out over a dozen years, you know, it's just like she understands that if she gives me like 1, 2, or like 2, 3, 4, the more things she puts on my plate, the more things I get incomplete with, and I get super distracted and don't do anything well. So she helps me remind me what's the important thing, you know, whether it's for the day, the month, the year, and just she constantly encourages me and like pushes me in that direction, but not in a managing way, like, which she's also learned over the years, because she's a type A personality. She's not the type that will shy away from confrontation or telling me what I'm doing wrong. But she's learned over the years, and that doesn't go well with the male ego. And I've also learned to be able to accept criticism and feedback that she's giving, because that's the most important feedback you'll get from your wife. You know, she knows you better than anyone. And so me being sensitive and vulnerable to that, and not putting up a wall, not getting that ego in the way, but she's been so good at leading her own way, and she's so strong about personal development and focusing on pushing herself forward, that by default I want to get better as a man, you know, because I'm also very competitive. So she knows that, and she knows if she gets better, I'm going to want to get better, because I don't want her to be better than me, you know, in the competitive aspect.
Oh man, there's so much you just said. So the first thing is, I heard somebody say it like this: you need to be so on fire that your spouse starts to feel the heat and they just catch fire as well. You know, they're feeling so much of your heat. And specifically talking about, you know, devotionals, like, I'm so into my word every single day that my wife eventually sees how much fire I'm just gaining, and she just starts to feel the heat, and it just rubs off. You know what I mean? And she's either in or out, you know what I mean? And she and with everything in life, right? With fitness, with, you know, eating properly or everything else. 2 other things. Personal development. We're going to get into that. But before we do, I want to touch on this last thing, is just male stubbornness and how stubborn males can be, right? And one thing I had to learn was that I hope all men, you know, learn, especially in that marriage, we're all on the same team.
Yeah.
You know, like, what's good for her is good for you. What's good, vice versa. You know, like, we're on the same team. And so many times we act like we're against each other. We're at war. And it's like, I soon realized with everything, man, even the shoes that I have on, it's funny. Like, my wife taught me so many things, and I learned very quickly, like very early on, within the first 6 months of us being married, I was like, I need to listen to her. I trust her. I trust that when she says, hey, turn around, that doesn't look good, or like, don't buy those shoes, or, you know what I mean? Like, little things like that, to like furniture around the house. I'm like, we were buying cups the other day. We were shopping for cups. I don't like those. She doesn't like those. It's like, you know what? Just buy the ones that you know are going to be best for us. You know, and I say that as a little example, but also in the grand scheme of things, like when I was pursuing this certain career, and like I said, she just felt it on her spirit that it was wrong for me, right? And so, you know, men need to stop being so stubborn. I'm thinking about my dad specifically and how stubborn he is to this day, you know, 60 years old. And it's like, man, my mom's on your team. Like, why are you guys fighting? You know, it breaks my heart, because I'm talking about bigger issues in life. But for those young men that are out there, newly married, if you have that God-given wife, listen to her. She probably knows best. You know what I mean? So it's awesome that you have that.
And I think on top of that, listening to the intent of what she's trying to say, you know, listen to the words and what message is she like intending to get across, not the emotion behind it.
I
because
see.
my wife's emotion behind words, and a lot of women have like a lot of emotion in their words, but they don't mean to beat their husbands down.
Yeah.
They mean to get their husbands better, you know?
Yeah.
And I think for so long, the emotion behind the words instantly set me to like a fight or flight mode, where it's just like, I have this, like all males have that like fight or flight instinct. And it's like when conversations start to get heated with another male, like the default is like, all right, let's fight it out. You know, like we'll be fine after, sure. Let's just fight it out. But for your wife, it's like, I would die for you. I'd go to war for you. And it's like, when you start to feel the emotion or intensity in their volume, you start to get defensive because that's just default, and you don't get the message, you know? So being able to like, over the years, like, okay, what's she trying to do? You know, what's the message she's trying to get across to me? And being able to accept that, you know, sometimes it's like, I still work on it to this day, but if I could get past that, like, emotional barrier and just understand, like, I get the message, you know, I'm like, oh, she was trying to get me to get rid of my ego, you know, like she said, whatever, you know?
I totally understand, man. And, you know, let's go back to the group really quick. It seems like, I always say this, you know, God brought us all together for a reason. And I'm excited that, you know, we haven't even scratched the surface on connecting. Like, this is the first time we actually hang out. And this is exactly what I was hoping would happen, is I didn't want to just connect over a cup of coffee. I wanted to create some content, and I wanted to be productive with our time. And so, for many reasons, right? Because first of all, I'm in a place in my life where I got to be very selective with who I'm with, what I'm doing, because my wife's at home right now trying to mop with a newborn in her hand right now, and I just had to leave and be here. But she knows the sacrifice, right? Like, there's more to it. There's people that are hopefully going to be impacted. Anyways, I don't want to waste your time. I know your time's valuable. You said you can be at the gym right now, which is something we're going to get into. But what I'm saying is, I know God brought us all together for a reason, and not just the men in this group that I feel are struggling with a lot of the same things. You know, every week it seems like we're all on the same boat, man. One of my prayers, finish this thought. One of my prayers is that we just be more open with each other, because we're men that are all going through the same things. There's nothing new under the sun. Considering the talk I had with one of our brothers and how open we were on just our struggles, man, what we've struggled with in the past, what we've overcome, what we're still struggling with, like, it was so powerful. And there's so much freedom in sharing with another brother, confessing your sins to one another, and not allowing the enemy to make you feel so guilty and shameful that you just think to yourself, man, I'm so filthy that isolated, exactly, where I can't even share with a brother because he won't understand. I mean, look at how perfect this guy is. He's always going to church and smiling and perfect, and he, you know, me, I'm over here and I'm filthy and I got the secret sin. Like, that's what the enemy wants. But we're a band of brothers that is only, we just added another brother today, that is only going to get bigger and stronger. And I pray that we don't, despite how many souls come in the group, we're still able to share, connect, be open, be raw, be uncut. Just, I'm telling you, like, dissect each other's hearts, cleanse one another, like, cover one another. That's just, I just want to say that, man, because honestly, that's the core passion that I have behind this group. That's why I pulled the trigger and I said, you know what, let's make this a thing. So yeah, man, personal development. And I think fitness ties into this, but I want to keep that separate. Personal development, I think it's super important based on what you're talking to me about your wife, and just you understanding, being mature enough to analyze situations with your wife, understand that she's trying to get you better, that she's trying to help you. I mean, it doesn't come easy, right? What is personal development to you? When did you start that journey? When did you embark on, whether it was reading or, you know, whatever it is, What does that all look like to you? How do you apply that in your life today?
I think it started way back, probably middle school, high school-ish. Middle school, I got pretty deep in my faith, like just reading the Bible every day. 8th grade, I think 7th grade, 8th grade.
How old are you when you got saved?
I was 7.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I think you mentioned that, yeah.
When I had made that decision myself, got baptized. I think I was 7. Yeah, 1997. And yeah, so I was in like 7th, 8th grade, and just I think that helped. Just having a faith. It's like, how can you not have a faith, want to grow your faith, and not like have personal development be in your life, you know?
Yeah.
And so I think that tied a huge part in it. But I think over the years, I mean, even when I fell off and I was smoking and drinking a lot. My parents got a divorce. I had bad experiences with certain churches, just like the behind the scenes. Both my parents were in like working with the church. My mom was in the praise team, and my dad was like an elder, and just hearing stuff that happened like behind closed doors, and it was just like, so I had bad experiences with churches. I was just like, I never lacked faith in God. I always knew, I was like, dude, everything's just too much of a coincidence for there not to be a God. You know, like the sun and the moon and everything has to be perfect. It's there's no way that just happened, you know? So that never lacked. But as far as like falling off, and even when I smoked and drank with my friends, we'd all have like discussions about dude, how can we get better? You know, like, just ridiculous. But hey, man,
I've been there, man. You're the type of person I would have liked to smoke and drink with, probably.
And so I always loved personal development. Now, as far as the follow through on it, that was different. But so the past, I mean, probably when I was 23, that's when I actually started. 24, probably when I started reading like personal development books, communication, leadership books, and like trying to like pinpoint areas of my life that I could grow in. Public speaking, that was like my biggest fear, you know? And so just working on little stuff like that, and being able to develop like communication, relationship skills. And so now today it's like, okay, cool. Like I have to be in a book every day that has to do with personal growth, you know, like to at least keep me focused on getting better, you know, even if it's the same page over and over, like, because I've always had like a reading problem, so I could something sticks, you know, but it just, sometimes I have to read the same paragraph like 5 minutes, you know, but hey, as long as I'm pulling one thing from that day, like that's what I'm focused on.
Really quickly, man, and I'm going to say this before I forget. Have you heard of this book here, Craig Rochelle? I mentioned it to the group. I don't know if you had actually read it. The Battle or the War of the Mind by Craig Rochelle. If you don't know
I've heard of Craig Rochelle.
Okay.
But I don't think I read that book.
Okay. No. I have a thing that I do for this podcast. I want to make it a thing where I'm giving a gift to each of my special guests. And this is the second book I'm giving out. And I'm going to give you this book before you leave today. So please remind me when we walk out of here. I'm not even going to pull up the book because I was going to show you the cover to see if you've seen it before. But at this point, I feel like you haven't. So I want to gift it to you, man. It really helped me. It's all about just your mind, right? And the spiritual battle. And it goes into the enemy's intent, right? And his motives. And it's a really powerful book, man. Just want to get that out of the way. So
that's great. That actually ties into what I'm reading right now, Battlefield of the Mind by Joyce Myers. So it's like, same thing. It's so great.
Yeah. It's something like that. That's perfect, man. Finish that one up, man. And yeah, absolutely, man. You know what? Maybe we can swap. I won't keep yours because I'm giving you mine. I want you to have it. But anyways, continue, man. So you're reading, you're in your book every day. You're in your mid-20s at this point.
Early 30s.
Early 30s. Okay. Well, not right now, but at that point you're talking about, like, you started to get into it. And then what, man? What comes along next,
So I think around that time we met some really successful entrepreneurs, and they just, everything about our world just started shifting. It was just like, okay, like what's the end goal of our life? It's like, besides getting to the pearly gates, it's like, what is our life here on earth? What's our plan? Like, how do we want to live?
Yeah.
Not like, what do we want to do? Or like, what's fulfilling our pleasures right now? But like, let's think long term, and we would basically just want choice, It's like, we want to be able to decide how we want to live.
Yeah.
And that's what the people that we met, that's how they live. It's like they're able to travel. They're able to bless their families how they want, bless others how they want, regardless of money and time, And so getting around people like that, it's like, you don't just get to a point like that and not have developed yourself immensely, So those are just little tips that they had. Is just like, you got to get into personal growth. Like, you got to develop yourself daily, It's like, it's a daily thing, just like your journey with Christ is a daily thing. And to be able to know oneself, like, you have to reflect a lot, and I think reading, physical reading on top of that helps you do that, especially for guys. It's like, to be able to sit there in a silent zone and be able to just be you and the words and your mind, and to be able to focus on those words in front of you. I think it develops discipline in itself to be able to sit there, and prioritization, to be able to prioritize doing that over a million other things you could be doing. But I think that is just it's so important to be able to sit there and read a book, whether it's an ebook or not. That's up to you. But I think ebooks are harder because usually it's on a phone, so you get notifications and just
I'm still listening to this podcast. You're familiar with Andrew Tate, of course, right? I mean, Andrew Tate?
No.
Andrew Tate is the most Googled man last year, like, just very controversial dude. But he's on a podcast with a Christian guy. They just came out with it today. I'm listening to him, and this guy, Andrew, was talking about the Bible. He's like, the Bible requires so much discipline, like just sitting down to read it. If you think about, like, they were talking about TikTok. They're like, do you actually see how fast people are swiping through these videos?
Yeah, it's
like,
crazy.
They really have no attention span. It's like almost completely gone. And so for you to actually, let alone some book that might even have some, colorful pages to it, like the Bible, that you need to reread, and just like, you're stuck on one verse and you need help to understand, and then you need to see a different translation to see. It's like the type of person that would actually do that. And I just want to say it to you, man, just because I have you as my brother in front of me, and I just want to encourage you that, the type of person, like I said, that it takes to actually sit down and read the scriptures, to understand them, to then apply them, to live by them, to be able to speak on them to, the group, raise your kids in those ways. You should be very proud of yourself. And I'm telling you because I mean it. I'm speaking to myself because sometimes we don't feel like we're doing good enough. But just that simple task of sitting down and reading the scripture every single day. Sometimes the enemy whispers in my ear like, you didn't read enough, you didn't understand. Like, are you even filled with the Spirit? Like, you know what I mean? The enemy just loves to whisper certain things, man. And it's like, man, so many people. And what's crazy to me is so many people really don't have any routine in the morning. They don't have 5 minutes to themselves to sip on their coffee. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm not even telling you to read. I'm just telling you to just wake up a little early so you can just sit and I'm not even asking you to meditate. Just sit. Give yourself that time, before you go interact with the world. So anyways, man, I want to finish on one last note here. your kids they're still babies, man. 3 years old is oh man, your boy's probably talking it up. And does he talk a lot?
Yeah. He's a jokester.
Oh, really? Oh my goodness. My son he's silly. My son is silly.
Yeah.
It's so funny to watch, man. Cause he's only 2 and I'm like, when he's 3, he's going to be
entertaining.
Yeah. Tell me more about him, man. What do you see a personality in your 11-month-old? Cause I know, is she walking yet? Some kids walk at 11, right?
No, she's so chill.
Really?
She's barely, she's sitting.
Okay.
But like she has no desire to
walk. Yeah. Oh, she's a princess.
No desire to even get from sitting to crawling. She's just like, and what's funny is for years we spoke into existence that we were going to have one boy, one girl, like one boy first, then the girl, and then he was going to have her personality and she was going to have my personality. And that's 100% how it is.
Wow.
He looks like me, like a little me when I was younger. That age, like we
identical.
Look really, and then she looks like her when she was. But it's crazy because it's so funny watching my son and my wife like butt heads because they're the same personality.
Yeah. Oh, that's hilarious.
It's so funny. And because they're both type A personalities. Like he wants things his way. When he's playing with kids, he's like, hey, follow me, everyone should do what I'm doing and you should do it my way.
I love it.
It's so funny. And she's just so chill. She's like me. It's like we could just sit there for hours,
Yeah.
As long as I'm fed and I get my sleep. I'm cool.
Exactly. Oh man, I love that, man. And that's exactly what I want to talk about is, first of all, I guess there's 2 questions in here. The first one is something that I've been thinking about a lot, that I see my son just, his energy, his attitude, the fearlessness of just being himself. Somewhere along the lines, the people say like, somewhere along the lines, the world just taints us, it shifts us, like puts us in a box, just puts water over that fire that God has given us, right? From the moment we were born. The first question is, how are you as a father going to continue to fuel that fire, right? To make sure he doesn't change who, God has made him to be, who you're seeing right now as an innocent boy. He's not hiding. He's him. Yeah. What do you see in your son and your daughter? Well, maybe your son, let's stick to that you want to continue to, bring out of him, just emphasize on, Is there anything you see?
He's got so much love just for everyone, and I think, I think that fearlessness is a big part. And I think, I guess how to fuel that fire for us, and we call it imperfect parenting. Like we're just doing the best we can.
Sure.
You can read all the books and and all the podcasts and stuff like that, but you just got to do your best, And it's like the one thing I think I've reflected on over the past couple of years of having kids is like, and my dad passed away last year, but I was like, my dad did such a good job. He was not a perfect father, but he did such a good job always letting me know that I was loved and my sister. Wow. And it's just like, and I think there's such a backbone in that. I was like, wow, I never understood the value behind that because I never doubted that. And because of that, like, I felt secure in who I was enough,
That's good.
And I think so. I think that's a big thing for us. I'm like, dude, that's step one. Like, do our kids know we love them?
Wow.
Like, if that's a question, I think we need to rethink everything.
Yeah. Dude, Kobe Bryant said that exact thing. He was already a prodigy when he was younger, and he went overseas to play a game. Was like 10, 11, or 12, around that age. He didn't score 1 point. And, not 1 point. And after the game, with his head down and obviously feeling like shameful, his dad looked at him and said, dude, I love you no matter what. Like, whether you score all the points or no points, it does not change, alter. It's just, I love you no matter what.
That's huge.
And he mentioned that because he said, from that moment on, because I knew that, like you said, the backbone to him being the GOAT is like, now I can go out and I got nothing to lose.
Yeah.
Because all that matters is that my dad loves me. You know what I mean? So now let's just go give it our best shot, and then look at where you end up, you know? So 100%, man, I truly, I love that answer. And my last question was kind of on that same drift is your last name. What's your last name? Sanchez. What, you know, I've been talking to all these men lately, and it's a popular question that I want to make a thing from now on is, what do you want? Maybe you haven't thought about this. Maybe you have. What do you want that last name to mean? What do you want that last name to stand for? It's a very common last name, Sanchez.
Yeah.
But still, man, like, for your household, what do you want? How do you want to raise your son to know, like, hey, you're a Sanchez, and this is how we do things. This is what we stand for. What do you want that last name to mean to your family? Like, what legacy do you want to leave behind?
Yeah, I think that was a big one. Like, legacy, freedom, impact, hope, love. I think those are the big ones. I think there's so much, but I think that's what we talk about like every day. You know, it's like freedom, hope, love, like impact. Like, let's go love on the people. You know, that's what my son knows. That's like when mom and dad are going out, he's like, where are you guys going? We're going to love on the people, you know? Are you going to go love on the people? It's like, got to, you know?
Wow. That's powerful, man. And that's everything, man. That is literally God's command is love God, love your neighbor as you love yourself. So we talked about personal development. We talked about our faith since you're 7 years old, knowing that he is, I mean, he's always been there. He'll always be there. And loving your neighbor, man. And we didn't get into any fitness today, but we will on Saturday with those 50 push-ups, man. How has that been for you? Did you elevate since the group? I know we were supposed to end it, but have you elevated the grind, the physical grind, since you started the group? Have we pushed you to? Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Have you seen any results? Because I know we talked about body fat reduction, right? Have you noticed your pants are fitting better? I mean, what results have you actually noticed?
Oh yeah, well, I think when we started the group, I think I was at probably 17 body fat, 17%, and now I'm probably at like 13.
Yeah, that's huge, like that. Man. So, that's huge. Yeah.
It's been up and down, but
as men, we're supposed to be anywhere from 12 to 15. So you're right there. Yeah. You're right there. Everyone's different. I think for me, I know that I'm better at like 10, 11%, just a little bit lower. I think because I'm taller or whatever it is. But that makes me so happy, man. You just made my day because
makes me happy.
You know, yeah, absolutely, man. Makes the wives happy, I'm sure. Like everything, man. All the above. Just setting the example for the kids, man. Like
100%.
Like we did last week, and you know, and this is what I do, man. It's my profession, and I haven't really been, you know, inserting my expertise in on the group, but it just goes to show, you know, how much surrounding yourself with a certain level of individuals. Association, man. Every week I'm going to see these guys. Every week I'm going to continue to show up. Like, I can't keep showing up the same. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And the accountability thing too.
That's what I was saying. Back to the accountability about me staying in my word, because I got to show up on Saturday. I'm not going to show up empty, you know? And it's crazy because sometimes, you know, it's, you know, my walk with God, and I'm kind of going off on a tangent here, but God always gives me a word the night before or the morning of as I'm showering. I never prepare a message for you guys. I never do anything. I really just feed myself. And this is just to share with the audience here. There's things that your spirit needs and that your soul needs that you need to hear from God. And what you get from God isn't always what you need to give, right?
When was that developed?
I think I heard somebody say that that's how they operated, and it made sense to me. It was this pastor in LA that I watch. He's my spiritual father now. Like, I watch him online, and we have Pastor Ron. He's my pastor. But when he said that, it spoke to my soul. And he said a lot of things that a lot of people don't talk about, that I knew were so true, that I was hearing from God, but didn't necessarily read it in a book, see it on a show, hear it from a pulpit. But he started saying these things to my spirit that I had heard from God in my spirit, and he just confirmed so many things. And so I look to this guy a lot as, like I said, my spiritual father. And then when he said that, I was like, oh, it made sense, because everything that I was receiving, I always thought it was what I had to give to somebody that I was going to share a word to. And I realized, I'm like, no, that's for me. You should just be so equipped and have an arsenal of just ammo that when you connect with somebody, your spirit just knows what to pull out. Yeah. So I'm working on a tool here, but like, oh, what do you need? Oh, okay, I have that in the back here. It's like, not necessarily, you don't need this tool. You need go look for what, you know what I mean? So, because I always forced it. It was always so forced. Like, oh, what I read this morning it must be what I have to give to this person. It's like, no, not necessarily. It could be. A lot of the times it is actually. But when you allow the Spirit to just be in the midst, and you allow the Spirit to guide you, it all made sense, man. So I think it was that moment when I heard that person say that, man. So is there any last thoughts you want to share, man? I'm really happy to have you here, man. I loved this, and this was fun.
Went by so fast.
That's it, man. I mean, that was a good, I told you, man, it was 40, 60 minutes, whatever it is. Any last thoughts you want to share, man? Anything you want to say?
No, man. I just love. I love this. Just being able to talk deeper with people. Yeah. And just impactful conversations. I think it's so easy to just stay surface level. Yeah. Especially nowadays, it's like you mentioned the attention span. It's like attention span's like less than 8 seconds. Yeah. On average, I think. Yeah, and goldfishes have longer memories than that.
Yeah. I heard that too. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And another thing too, man, is one thing I've been realizing is we're just everyday guys, just average people. Definitely. You know what I mean? And not to say that as like we're average people, because who above average is, I don't know. It's not a money thing. It's not a status thing. We're just regular guys. You know what I mean? Families have the same mission in life, right? Is to get to the pearly gates, but to live that life of freedom and I love that someone said this yesterday to me. He's like, I love that you're just giving the average guy's perspective, right? And us average guys are able to just speak. Yeah. Because he said that's what people need. They can relate. And I look at you and I look at me and I'm like, man, we're just some average dudes just talking, and this might just be what somebody needs. And so not only is it cool to do this, it's a great time, great fellowship, but like I said, man, value. I hope that we brought value to the audience today, man, and somebody takes something, and just appreciate you again, man.
Thanks for having me, brother.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Thank you.